Hi, this is Liz, friendly neighborhood reference librarian and cinephile, and these are my Oscar picks. It's the most wonderful time of the year because it's time for the Oscars, aka Super Bowl for film nerds. I know there's always debate about the Oscars. Do they matter? Do they really award the best film? Do they even nominate the best film? Should we take the Oscars seriously when garbage like Crash wins? Whatever you may think, the Oscars do have continuing relevance, even because if a movie is nominated for or wins an Oscar, people do want to see it. They don't always get it right. Again, see Crash winning the year Brokeback Mountain and Good Night and Good Luck were nominated. But when they do, like Jordan Peele or Guillermo del Toro winning last year or Spirited Away winning Best Animated Feature in 2002, it is great to see the right people win. So we are going to do a rundown of some of my picks for this year, starting with some of the technical categories. Before we start, I have to get on my soapbox. Every year, I see people complaining about the airing of technical categories, saying no one cares about editing or sound. Well, excuse you should care. I mean, they were even considering not airing the awards for editing and cinematography, which are essential to filmmaking. But, any movie you love had a team of hundreds working on it, including sound people, musicians, editors, camera operators, DPs, and cinematographers. They help make the movies that you enjoy great, and in many cases are chosen by the director because of their skill. Movies are more than actors, and while tech work is not as glamorous, they deserve some recognition. We're going to start with editing, which is a post-production process to make sure the movie works as a finished product. The nominees are BlacKkKlansman, Barry Alexander Brown; Bohemian Rhapsody, John Ottman, embarrassing this is here; Green Book, Patrick J. Don Vito; The Favorite, Yorgos Mavrosaurus; and Vice by Hank Corwin. Who should win? I'd say Brown for BlacKkKlansman, or The Favorite would be nice as well. Who should be there? Jennifer Lane and Lucian Johnson for Hereditary, Sarah Shaw for Cameron Post, or Jennifer Lilly for 8th Grade. Up next, we're on to visual effects, one of the many ways to make a movie look good. The nominees are Avengers: Infinity War, Christopher Robin, First Man, Ready Player One, and Solo, A Star Wars Story. Who should win? Infinity War will likely win, but I would like to see First Man win, if only for the moon landing moonwalk scenes. And who should be there? I'm just going to say if Christopher Robin can be nominated, Paddington 2 should be there. And where's Annihilation? Keeping with the visual category, we are on to costumes and production design. And let's be real, Black Panther should and likely will win both of these awards. If you look at the behind-the-scenes interviews, you will see how much thought went into creating Wakanda, from Afrofuturistic novels to real past kingdoms providing inspiration. And the same goes for costuming, with designer Ruth E. Carter taking inspiration from tribal fashions all over the continent. I know that the Oscars usually award the movies with the big poofy dresses, but I think and hope they will recognize the sheer creativity and passion behind Black Panther's production team. And finally, we're going to talk about cinematography. The nominees are Cold War, Lucas Zal; The Favorite, Robbie Ryan; Never Look Away, Caleb Deschanel; Roma, Alfonso Cuarón, which is his first time as a cinematographer; and A Star is Born, Matthew Libatique. Who should win? Ryan for The Favorite or Cuarón for Roma? I haven't seen Cold War, but the stills look beautiful. Who should be there? I would vote Michael McDonough for Leave No Trace or Benjamin Loeb for Mandy, but Oscars tend to ignore horror in movies written by women. We'll get to that later. On to a category that doesn't get as much belly aching from viewers: Best Song. The nominees are All the Stars from Black Panther, Kendrick Lamar and SZA; All Fight from RBG, Diane Warren and Jennifer Hudson; The Place Where Lost Things Go from Mary Poppins Returns by Mark Scheinman and Scott Whitman; Shallow from A Star is Born by Lady Gaga, Mark Ronson, Anthony Rossimondo, Andrew Wyatt, and Benjamin Rice; and When a Cowboy Trades His Spurs for Wings from The Ballad of Buster Scruggs by David Rawlings and Gillian Welch. Who should win? Shallow is great. The music is the best thing about A Star is Born. But I'd love to see All the Stars win. It's a bop. I think I'm using that word correctly, and I'd really like to see a bop win. Who should be there? I'm going to go out of left field and say Out of Ashes from Deadpool 2. The fact that Ryan Reynolds got Celine freaking Dion to perform an Oscar-style ballad for a superhero sequel should warrant a nomination. And while we're on the subject of music, Best Original Score. The nominees are Black Klansman, Terrence Blanchard; Black Panther, Ludwig Göransson; If Beale Street Could Talk, Nicholas Britell; Isle of Dogs, Alexandre Desplat; and Mary Poppins Returns by Mark Scheinman and Scott Whitman. Who should win? Beale Street. The fact that this movie wasn't nominated more is criminal, so give this movie any award you can. Who should be there? Johan Johansson for Mandy or Dario Manelli for Paddington 2. Now we're moving on to the award I have the most personal investment in, Best Animated Feature. Best Animated Feature is a newish award. It started in 2001 with Shrek as the first winner. Now, with a few exceptions like that and Spirited Away, the category just seems to be the Disney Pixar category. Whenever you read the anonymous ballots, they usually say they don't care or they check off whatever their kid liked. And while the nominees are usually solid, usually because they're selected by people in the animation field, the Academy as a whole just doesn't seem to care about this category, and that's a shame. But I digress. The nominees are Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Mirai, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Who should win? No shock that I'm saying Spider-Verse, Spider-Verse, Spider-Verse. If that wasn't nominated, I'd cry and throw my support to Isle of Dogs or Mirai because it is always nice to see stop motion and anime get recognition. But Into the Spider-Verse is a work of art. Incredibles 2 and Wreck the Internet are enjoyable sequels, but Into the Spider-Verse is a groundbreaking cinematic experience, and I hope that the Academy sees that. If not, you will hear me yelling on Oscar night. Okay, on to the big awards. Foreign language features, sometimes the actual Best Pictures of the Year are awarded here. See Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Amour, and A Separation. The nominees are Capernaum from Lebanon, Cold War from Poland, Never Look Away from Germany, Roma from Mexico, and Shoplifters from Japan. Who should win? I would say Roma or Shoplifters. I am pulling for Shoplifters as I'm a huge fan of that director, but Netflix has put a lot of PR into Roma. We could see a Cold War upset though, but I'd bank on Roma. Who should be there? Personally, I'm shocked that Burning from Lee Chang-dong is not nominated. On to more people behind the feature film. Screenwriting categories. Once again, I'm going to ask the people please stop saying no one cares about screenwriters. So yeah, hi, that movie you like to quote so much, more than likely that was not improvised. Someone wrote that. Show some respect. Best Adapted Screenplay. The nominees are The Ballad of Buster Scruggs by Joel and Ethan Coen, Black Klansman, Charlie Wichel, David Rabinowitz, Ken Wilmot, and Spike Lee. Can You Ever Forgive Me? Nicole Holzhauer and Jeff Whitty. If Beale Street Could Talk, Barry Jenkins. And A Star Is Born, Eric Roth, Bradley Cooper, Will Fretters. Who should win? I'd say Barry Jenkins by a long shot. Runner-up, Can You Ever Forgive Me? Who should be there? I would take out A Star Is Born and put in Armando Iannucci for Death of Stalin, Deborah Granick for Leave No Trace, or Alex Garland for Annihilation. And now on to Best Original Screenplay, aka the category where originality is actually usually rewarded. Last year, they rightfully awarded Jordan Peele for my favorite movie of 2018, Get Out. Who will they award this year? Will it be The Favorite, Deborah Davis and Tony McNamara, First Reformed, Paul Schrader, Green Book, Nick Vallanaga, Brian Curry, and Peter Farrelly, Roma, Alfonso Cuarón, and Vice, Adam McKay. Who should win? First Reformed, by a long shot, with Favorite or Roma as a runner-up. Who should be here? Take out Green Book from most categories, please, and put in Sorry to Bother You, or Eighth Grade, or Hereditary, Mandy maybe. My point is there are way better films than a reboot of Driving Miss Daisy. Now, on to the awards that most people care about. Acting. Not that you shouldn't care, but as I've been trying to point out, a movie doesn't happen just because someone points a camera at a person. But still, it does take the right person to bring a role to life. The nominees are Mahershala Ali for Green Book, Adam Driver, Black Klansman, Sam Elliott, A Star Is Born, Richard E. Grant, Can You Ever Forgive Me, and Sam Rockwell for Vice. Who should win? Well, Ali will likely win his second Best Supporting Actor, which is well deserved as he is the best thing about that movie. However, I'd love to see Richard E. Grant win. He brings a great sense of mischief and warmth to what could have been a very caricatured role. And who should be there? Speaking of Grant, Hugh Grant for Paddington 2. He was my favorite he was my favorite Best Supporting Actor performance. I'd also like to see Brian Tyree Henry for one of his great turns in either Beale Street or Widows. He's actually becoming one of my favorite actors. Or Armie Hammer as a villainous tech mogul in Sorry to Bother You. On to supporting actress. Amy Adams for Vice, Marina de Trevilla for Roma, Regina King, If Beale Street Could Talk, Emma Stone, The Favorite, or Rachel Weisz, The Favorite. Who should win? Let's be honest, Regina King is walking away with this award, and rightfully so. She owns that role and owns that movie. Who should be here? This is actually a pretty solid category, but Tiona Parrish from Beale Street, Michelle Yeoh from Crazy Rich Asians, Amanda Seyfried from First Reformed, or Elizabeth Debicki from Widows would have been good as well. Or honestly, any of the women of Black Panther, because the women of Black Panther are that movie's secret weapon. And now on to Best Actress. This is the category where they should have had 9 nominees because this year was full of great performances. Who made the final 5? Yalitza Aparicio for Roma, the first indigenous Mexican woman to receive a Best Actress nomination. Glenn Close for The Wife. Olivia Colman, The Favorite. Lady Gaga, A Star is Born. And Melissa McCarthy, Can You Ever Forgive Me? Who should win? As I said in my best of, I am hoping for Melissa McCarthy. I have always felt that she had more depth than people gave her credit for, and this role shows. She makes her character, someone who isn't exactly friendly, into someone you have sympathy for, and she makes her kind of likable. That said, I would like to see Olivia Colman get some US recognition, and Glenn Close, I mean, look, The Wife is an okay movie, but she attacks that role and plays it like it's the best role in the best movie ever. She elevates that movie. Glenn Close never half-asses things, and if this is the role she gets her Lifetime Achievement Oscar for, so be it. Who should be there? Again, this was a tough year. Viola Davis in Widows, Chloe Grace Moretz in Cameron Post, Elsie Fisher for 8th Grade, Regina Hall in Support the Girls. But the biggest snub of the night is Toni Collette for Hereditary. All due respect to Lady Gaga, who is better than a lot of her material in A Star is Born, but she's pretty much playing herself. Meanwhile, Toni Collette puts herself through multiple emotional ringers, playing a woman who loses 2 family members in a short amount of time. Honestly, she would be nominated had Hereditary not been a horror film. And that's BS. But the Oscars have an issue with horror and genre features overall. But Liz, you ask, wasn't she nominated for The Sixth Sense? Yes, she was. But do you know what that movie did once it started to get awards buzz? It started marketing itself as a thriller. Get Out did the same thing, as did Silence of the Lambs. And I don't blame them. The blame lies with the fact that the Academy as a whole has an idea of what an Oscar movie is. And it is either a drama or a biopic. I'm not over here arguing for a slasher film to win an Oscar, but horror, sci-fi, comedy, those genres produce movies that also possess great performances, writing, and even directing. I guarantee you, had Hereditary been a straight drama, Toni would not only be nominated, she might even win. With that said, on to Best Actor. The nominees are Christian Bale for Vice, Bradley Cooper, A Star is Born, Willem Dafoe, who should have won Best Supporting Actor for The Florida Project last year for At Eternity's Gate, Rami Malek, Bohemian Rhapsody, and Viggo Mortensen for Green Book. Who should win? None of my favorites are here, so I guess I'm going to go with Rami Malek. Bohemian Rhapsody is not a great movie, but Malek completely embodies Freddie Mercury. We do need to address that the film's credited director, supposedly he was fired early on but retains a credit. Bryan Singer, his past as an abuser has come to light, and obviously he should not be allowed to work again. However, I don't think that Rami Malek, an actor with only a cult TV show and a few movies to his CV, should bear the brunt of that blame. If anything, the producers that hired Singer should be held accountable. Let Malek be rewarded for his performance. Who should be there? A lot of people. Ethan Hawke for First Reformed, Chadwick Boseman for Black Panther, Lakeith Stanfield for Sorry to Bother You, Steve Buscemi for Death of Stalin. But the biggest snub to me is John David Washington for BlacKkKlansman. You nominate a movie for a bunch of awards, but not Best Actor? WTF, Academy? We're almost at the end with Best Director. This category is pretty solid. Thankfully, Bryan Singer wasn't nominated, but we'll get to my snubs in a minute. Nominees are Spike Lee, BlacKkKlansman; Powell Pawlowski for Cold War; Yorgos Lanthimos for The Favorite; Alfonso Cuarón for Roma; and Adam McKay for Vice. Who should win? I am really, really hoping Spike Lee takes this. BlacKkKlansman had its flaws, but is unmistakably a Spike Lee joint. It's imperfect but passionate and has a point of view. Give the man his due for one of his best works. And who should be there? Obviously, Barry Jenkins should be up there for If Beale Street Could Talk. Also, I know this is shocking, but women-directed movies this year. Good movies, even. I like Adam McKay, but Marielle Heller, Deborah Granick, Desiree Akavan, they did just as good, if not better, than he did. Specifically, I would like to see Granick up there because Leave No Trace is one of the best directed movies I saw last year. And now, drumroll please. Best Picture. The nominees are Black Panther, BlacKkKlansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Green Book, Roma, A Star Is Born, and Vice. You know, just once, I would love for a presenter to let us know how they feel when they read these off. So what should win? I think this is a split between worthy winners, Black Panther, BlacKkKlansman, The Favorite, and Roma, and the rest. Of those nominated, I'd really like to see BlacKkKlansman win. It's the best directed, it's a definite vision, you can tell it's directed by Spike Lee, and it's timely. If that doesn't win, I'd love to see Black Panther take it. Yes, it's a blockbuster. Yes, it's a popular movie, but guess what? Those have been nominated and won Oscars. Off the top of my head, these are blockbusters that have been nominated for Best Picture. Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T., Silence of the Lambs, yes, that was a hit. Apollo 13, Titanic, The Sixth Sense, and Lord of the Rings. And this was all back when there were only 5 nominees. On top of that, Black Panther has a lot of depth. It's a solid dramatic feature. If this movie did not have a superhero aspect, but everything else was the same, no one would be complaining. I think a lot of people are mad because a superhero movie delivered a better drama than half of the Oscar bait made this year. And if you're going to pull the "it's only nominated because it made a bunch of money" card, that line applies way more to Bohemian Rhapsody than Black Panther. Who should be here? Okay, so take out Vice, Green Book, Bohemian Rhapsody, and A Star Is Born. Not that Star Is Born is bad, it's just okay. I haven't seen Vice because I read The Angler and lived through the Bush years, and I don't need to be reminded of Dick Cheney. Green Book seems like it was made 25 years ago, and Bohemian Rhapsody, while having good performances, is a mess of a movie. I would throw in First Reformed, Leave No Trace, 8th Grade, If Beale Street Could Talk, Can You Ever Forgive Me, maybe add Into the Spider-Verse. Also, I think Paddington 2 and Death of Stalin had some eligibility issues because they were released in 2017 overseas, but if not, throw in Paddington 2. I'm guessing no one is shocked that I'm advocating for Paddington 2 for Best Picture. Well, there you have it. Those are my picks for this year's Oscars. It's a mixed bag and a real letdown from last year, which was a banner year for awarding originality and talent. It happens every 10 years or so. Go figure, because the 2008 Oscars were the year No Country for Old Men cleaned up, so yeah, every 10 years. Okay, I'm exaggerating. If anything, the Oscars have been getting better little by little in nominating new and unorthodox stuff. I guess that's why this year is disappointing, but for every nomination, we do have some great ones. So let's see what wins February 24th on ABC starting at 8 p.m. and come talk about the nominees with me at Derry Public Library's Information Desk. Speaking of people behind the scenes, a thank you to DerryCAM, Derry Community Access Media, for the use of their facilities and studios. And be sure to check out my picks next month. Until then,